Hi there, welcome to Elm Colors. I'm Erica. On today's video, I am going to be talking a little bit about Amazon paper. I know a lot of people really hate to work on the paper, and I am going to try today to come up with some ways that might make it easier, show you a few different pencils that I really love to use in my books, and just kind of go through some of the different levels of paper that I've found as well. Now, before I start this, I'm going to, have this disclaimer out there. I am, this is all about what works best for me personally. I am not a pro at, deciding what kind of paper is better than others or anything. It's really all about what you feel comfortable coloring. And that's really it. It's what works best for you. And if you just want to completely avoid Amazon paper, that's totally fine. A lot of these books are available digitally, so you can get them and print them on whatever kind of paper you want. But for those of us who like books, like myself, I like to just get the book. And then I can, I do sometimes enjoy the challenge of trying to take the paper that I'm given and make it work as best I can. I have found a couple of tricks, not really tricks, just like shortcuts that help me the most. But I do want to kind of explore a couple of other pencil brands than what I normally show, just so you guys can see that you can do it. It might take a little bit longer, but if you really love an image, you just put your heart and soul into it anyway. So this is just a small collection of some of my Amazon books. I have a lot. I have a lot of Amazon books, and probably the majority of the ones that I have are printed on Amazon paper. I do have, like I said, a wide range of paper that they're printed on. So, for example, like these two, this Magic of Colors Fairies, this is a beautiful book. I absolutely adore the book, and I have colored a couple of pages in it. However, the paper is super thin, like really, really thin. This was all colored with just water-based markers, and it immediately just bled right through. It's a very thin, it's almost like printer paper with a little bit more tooth. That's basically the difference. So there's this one, and then this, all the ones that I have that are printed, that are illustrated by Heather Valentin have an iffy paper as well. Again, not my favorite paper to work with. However, I am able to get pretty awesome results. I love this page. So, so it just kind of depends on how much time you want to put into it and what kind of supplies that you have available. The majority of the time, so let's just talk about that. The majority of the time when I do pages on this paper, I will use alcohol markers. So you can see the alcohol marker base, and then I usually do, especially in this book, I do Prismacolors on top. And that is my typical go-to when I am coloring. Specifically in this book, it'll be alcohol markers and Prismacolors. You can also do water-based markers, which I have done in the past, which we will talk a little bit about today. Does that one have? Yeah, that one had a complete base. This one, actually, I don't think I used Prismacolors on this one. I think I ended up using a different pencil for her hair. You can sometimes tell in the strokes of the hair. So there's another one, another one. So yeah, you can make, really cute images, really cute pages with these, just by using those two supplies, Again, in this one, that's the same kind of thing, except that might be different. I think I used a different pencil for that one. Of course, I can't go back and find it. But for example, this is Amazon paper, and I think this is adorable. I love this page. I did use alcohol markers for the plaid background, but everything else is pencil. So this is, I think, Light Fast, or went Light Fast in Pro Color, and it worked really well. I've got good blends. I've got a really fun fur effect here. The jean texture looks really cool. I got, you know, like good texture on my apples and my pumpkins and my beets. You know, everything looks really cool, even though it's on this Amazon paper. But then you have like the simpler ones where like this one is just alcohol markers and Prismacolors, and I just kind of did some really basic shading. So you can go into depth, you know, you can have like super detailed images, or you can just have simpler images like that one. That one was another one that I think was a different brand of pencil, but I can't remember off the top of my head what brand it was. Yeah, and that one's alcohol marker and Prismacolors as well. So yeah, so those are just a couple of examples of pages that I've done with those two. So this is mostly alcohol marker with just a little bit of Prismacolor thrown in there, a little bit of color pencil. So yeah. Oh, and I like that one too. Sorry, I really love the pages that I've been able to do in these. So this again, alcohol markers and Prismacolor. Now Prismacolor for me works really good because you can smush it around. So for example, on that last image where I did the water. So you can see it's nice and blended. I tried to do like a reflection of the sky. So there's different colors in it. I've got a little bit of a light reflection over here. And once I got the colors down, I was able to, like, technical term here, smush the colors so that they blended and moved together really nicely. I do love that the most about the Prismacolors, and I do love that aspect of that in these Amazon printed books. So another one that I have so these are, I do use a few alcohol markers on this, but I also then will just use Prismacolors. But you can see, like, I just get really good blended effects with my Prismas. That one wasn't Prismas. That one was something else. That one was a Derwent pen, I think. But another one with Prismas where I did the whole sky in Prisma, which that took a little bit of time, but it was okay. It still worked. Do I have another one in here? No, that was it. I thought I had more in here. I guess not. But yeah, so that's the kind of look that you can get. Other ways that you can color in these for sure is you can use, like I said, you can use water-based markers as a base. You can use, so like this page here, I've just started it with some water-based markers, just on the tree trunk there. And I'll probably come through, maybe we'll use this one as an example because there's a lot of little individual things to color on this page. Now, when you use water-based markers, you will get a little bit of buckling. So you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see the edge of that. It's got a little bit of buckling. You can kind of hear that it's a little crinkly. That doesn't bother me. Again, if that's something that bothers you, then I would definitely stay away from any water-based mediums on this Amazon paper, unless you decide to pre-prepare your pages. You can use a gesso or satin glazing liquid, and then you can use water-based mediums on this Amazon paper without it being crazy crinkly. So you can hear, like, this is all done with Inktense pencils and a little bit of watercolor, metallic watercolor in there. And I had pre-prepared it with some gesso and then just went to town with my Inktense pencils and really like the way that that looks too. So that's always an option for you to do, you know, to get another fun effect is to do that, to pre-prepare your pages if you do want to use water-based mediums. So lots of options out on the table. We're going to go through a couple of different colored pencils. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the different kinds of paper too. So for example, in these two, so this nice little town, most of Tatiana Bogomilova, Stolova, most of her nice little town books have the image on the front and the black backing. I like those. They don't bother me. I know some people don't like it, but I have had no issues with those. And then as you're flipping through, it's all kind of, even if you do use water, you know, alcohol markers, it's pretty well covered up. I do prefer that than to have just the image like showing straight through the other side. But these ones are the same way. Any of the books by Forrest Diver are going to be the similar where they have the black backing. I have also used, so this is another page where I did just Inktense straight on this paper. It still works. You do have to play with it a little bit differently. But I use the Inktense as a base, and then I'm going to go through with my Prismacolors and shade everything in. But it does, like I said, make your paper crinkly. So you've got that kind of paper. You have the first kind that we kind of talked about a little bit. These three are all pretty much the same. It's smooth and rough and and it basically feels a lot like just printer paper, but it's a little bit thicker, like a little bit thicker than a piece of paper that you would normally do. I still like to color in these. I have colored one in this one too. This one here, and that was all done with pencil. So you can get really nice effects. It's, like I said, it is a tougher time, and it is harder, you know, on your hands or whatever, but you can still get really cool, coloring images or colored pages done. And then R.J. Hampson's paper is, I think the first few had the black backing. The last couple have not, as far as I know. I mean, this one is the newest one that I have. I know he's got another one that just came out. But this paper's nice. And it feels a little bit different, just a tiny bit different than the others. Maybe not that different. It's like it's got more tooth or something. I haven't colored in this book yet. So this might be another one that we play with a little bit today. But, and then you have like the fancy Amazon paper. So this is, you can usually find that in the Christine Karen books and the Duria Draws, like Color and Chicks books. These are super smooth paper. They're still about the same thickness as the other paper, but it's very smooth. So your pencils are going to act differently on this paper than they would other paper. So that's why I like that they've got, you know, some extra pages in here that you can practice, especially like on the title page, or a lot of the times there's going to be a few empty pages at the back of the book where you can try out different mediums and see what works best for you. That's always a good tip, is to figure out, you know, what kind of things you like to, or how, you know, how your mediums are going to perform on that paper. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is I'm going to grab that book that I had previously done. Okay, so this one I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to start with this one. And since I have, let me grab a backer page. But since I have water-based marker down already, we're just going to go right over top of that with some pencils. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get the shading done. And then we'll try to do a little bit of coloring in different areas with some different pencils. So today I have my Polychromos pencils. I have my Black Widow pencils. I have Arteza, and what are these other ones? My Soucolor pencils, which I believe are very similar to the Soucolor pencils, depending on which ones you have. So these are the ones that are the black barrel pencils. I think anytime you get a pencil that looks like this, they're basically the same pencil. They're just different, you know, manufacturers' names are on them. But I think they're basically the same pencil. I could be completely wrong. I'm not I haven't done a ton of research into this. This is all just things that, you know, I've observed or things that have worked best for me. So let's get started. I'm going to start with those Soucolor pencils. And I got these pencils because I had seen Coloring with Elena do some just magical things with hers. And I thought, well, let's see if I can do the same thing. So I'm going to zoom you in here a little bit. We'll get a little bit of shading done on this tree. All right. So on this tree, let's just start on this little branch up here. So I'm just going to I have two colors here. I've got two darker colors of brown. So I'm going to take my darkest first, and I'm just going to add shadows where I think the shadows would be. So typically on tree branches, for me, I do along the bottoms of the branches. Anywhere where there's like a bend in a branch or two branches come together, I will add a little bit more shading there. So we'll get all of these little areas shaded in. And then, you know, where things overlap the branches, you can add a little bit of shadow under that. I've got this lighter brown just to add a few little texture lines in. And then when I have a base of marker down, whether it's watercolor or water-based markers or alcohol markers, my secret weapon is to come back in for highlights with my Prismacolors. I don't know, we can try it. I don't know how well the Soucolors will work because they're not quite as pigment, or they're not quite as opaque as a Prismacolor would be, but we can try it. So I've grabbed the really light kind of cream color. Oh, I guess that works pretty well actually. So then I just kind of grab a couple places where I think there might be a highlight, and I add that in to different areas. So we're going to add in a little bit of texture here. And this is my favorite way to do trees, is to just add in the highlights and a little bit of texture, and then you just get a little, it's not anything like super professional, you just get a little bit of extra stuff done. So the Soucolors really looked nice. I think I might have smeared them a little bit, so that's kind of the only thing you need to worry about a little bit, but that's my fault because I didn't have my brush handy. But yeah, and so when you have the marker base down, it really cuts into the amount of time that you need to do like all of the shading and stuff and keep blending and things like that. That's why I like to use the marker bases so much. I'm going to show you kind of, because I'll probably still use the rest of those colors there, but let's do a little bit of shading let's do a little bit of the grass down here at the bottom. I'm going to grab some colors. All right, so I just randomly grabbed 3 kind of yellowish green colors. I'm going to start with my lightest color. So I'm just going to add in the lightest color to like the edges of the grass here. And we'll just kind of go, I'm going to go to about here, just so you can kind of see how that's going to look. And then I'm going to shade outwards with the next darkest color. Make sure I leave a little bit of that light yellow showing around the edges. And then with my darkest color, just really in like the dark shadow areas, I'm going to add this color. So it's not going to be super used a whole bunch. And then we're going to have to go through with another layer of that medium tone to blend those back out together. And then I will come in again with a light tone. And that's going to be kind of the same repetitive process that I would use to kind of get a nice blended, so you can see that's pretty blended. There's not really a whole lot of tooth showing through the paper. And then I can come in if I want to add some more details. I can use this darker one to just barely add in some of these little like grass stripey things. These little lines that they've got drawn in here. And then I can blend it out again with this color. Now these Soucolor pencils are working super well on this. So these might be ones that I would recommend. And like I said, I believe these are similar to the Black Barrel Color pencils, but I could be wrong. Again, if you know, let me know in the comments. Okay, really like the Soucolor ones. I think those are very nice. Let's try a couple other pencils. Okay, so now I grabbed some Arteza pencils. These are another softer pencil. A lot of the times for me in Amazon books, the softer pencils work well for me. We will be doing a little bit harder pencil as well in this video, just so you can kind of see the difference. But I thought that I would try these next. I think I'm going to work on some of these shrubs a little bit. I'm going to start, let's just start with this one. So I'm going to start with my darkest color down here at the bottom first. And since this is not, you know, there's no base color, you're definitely going to see a lot of the tooth of the paper coming through. And you will have to think about, you know, working in layers maybe, or using a blender of some sort. Always works as well. So let's do this again. I'm going to do another layer. So on this one, I'm pushing just a little bit harder, not like super hard or anything, but just a little harder. And then last, we'll just use this lightest green to kind of blend everything together. So you can see there's a little bit of the tooth kind of showing through. So right in like the darkest areas, I'm hoping, oh, you probably can't see that. Hold on a sec. So right in some of these darkest areas, you can really see the tooth coming through there. And I don't know if it's just the brand or if it's, you know, the actual way that the pencil is. Let me grab a blender really quick. Okay, so I have this Caran d'Ache full blender here. We're just going to try and see what this one does. Normally this one works really well with things that I want to blend and helps me get rid of the tooth of the paper. So now you can see there's no tooth showing through, especially in that darker spot. So I think that's what I'm going to do for all the shrubs. I'm going to use the same color combo for the many different shrubs. And when we come back, I will maybe switch to another pencil brand. We'll just keep trying different pencil brands on this page and see how that goes. I thought that maybe you guys would like to see, you know, the different steps that I would take with different pencils. That's kind of what my thought process was in the beginning of this video. I was just like, or when I was thinking about making the video, I just decided that maybe I'd show that you don't have to hate you don't have to hate the Amazon paper. But again, like I said, if you do, that's fine. It's totally fine. You do you. This is just kind of me trying to help out people who do want to color on it. And just in case you were curious, my color combo here is, let me get to a stopping point here. So I started with Jade, and then I'm using Fern, and now I'm using Basil, and then the last is the Absinthe Green. And I currently am working with the 72 set. I do have the 120 set, but I have not opened that yet because my 120 set or my 72 set is still going pretty strong. Like I still have quite a few pencils that are nice and long, and I don't have to replace anytime soon. So I really love the way the Absinthe really just brings out all of the nice warm kind of yellowy green tones that you need. Okay, so again, I'm not really pushing hard, but I am pushing harder than that first initial layer. This is doing a pretty good job this time of getting rid of the tooth on its own. All right, so we've got the trunk all done, all the shrubs in the background, the grass here. I thought now we could maybe try some Black Widow pencils. These are a little bit harder than the other two. They're real similar to the Arteza, but I adore the Black Widow pencils. I'm thinking we could probably color in a little mouse here. So let me get to my grays. I'm gonna grab a couple of colors here. All right, so we're gonna work on the little mouse here, and I do have a little bit of pink that I grabbed as well. but we're going to hold off on that one. So I'm just going to start with the light gray. In most other papers, when I use my Black Widows, I like to do a light layer of like the lightest color that I have pulled out. He's going to have little pants on instead of just having no pants. So yeah, so I do a light layer, and then I'm going to come in with the darker color, which I grabbed the wrong one. Yeah. And then I'm going to do, so I'm using the darkest color that I have here for my bunch of colors that I grabbed. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that in all of the shadowy bits. Okay, and then I'm going to use my next lightest color, blend that out. And then use the lightest color again to blend everything together into that. So I'm basically using the Black Widow as its own base, like the lightest color as its own base. Okay, and then I'm going to use this pink to add a little bit of pink to the inner ear here. And then, of course, I love to add, nope, that was not the right spot. I like to add cheeks. I did not like where I put that, so I want to move it back a little bit. And that looks okay. And then I am going to do a little bit of pink on the tail here, even though that creeps me out. I hate pink tails, pink rat and mouse tail, rat tails. I don't know why I don't like them so much, but they kind of freak me out a little bit. All right, so there is the little mouse. I'm going to use the black to bring his eyes back a little bit. There we go. And then I can also use this black to darken any shadows that I want. Just blend things out. All right, well, that's a cute little mouse guy. Let's see, what colors should his uniform be? Well, it's definitely going to have a gray sword, or maybe I could just save that. Maybe I'll just do that in like a silver gel pen. It's always fun. I like to add little bits and pieces of sparkly, fun goodness on my pages. Typically they're on smaller things, so things like swords, or you know, maybe some of these mushrooms will have a little bit of shiny stuff on it. So yeah, let's do the handle of this in black then. And then I'll do the sword with a nice silver. And then I'm going to color his little feet here. They're going to be just a dark gray. We'll do his pants. Let's see. I'm going to do his pants in like a warm brown color. That works. Okay, and then we'll add in some darker tones and then blend that back out. Well, these Black Widows are working well for this small little guy. Like, he's turning out pretty cool. If I was coloring a larger area, that might be a little frustrating, because I know that I would have to get in here with some blending solution or some kind of blending something to make sure that that all blends together. And I think for his little coat here, we could do, I think I want him to be blue and gold. So, all right, so I'm gonna start with this Dark Night, which is like a bluish gray almost. But I'm just going to do a light layer of that all over, We'll do that up on the collar too. And we use Blue Moon to get a nice, just adding the shadows in really with the Blue Moon, anywhere where I think that the fabric might be a little bit darker. I'm going to use this night color, Dark Night. It's more of a blue-gray, but I don't want this to be like super bright blue. I just wanted it to be dark blue. So we might need to bring in, this indigo color. What is this, Zephyr? That Dark Night does kind of mute it a little bit, and that kind of helps. I think that'll look nice. All right, so then we're going to use the silver for his sword. And then we'll use the gold for his little amulet here and like the details on his jacket. All right, well, there's Mr. Mouse. I'm sure you can't see that. Sorry, that was so far away, but here he is. And it looks all right. Like you can really see there's not really any tooth of the paper showing through. But again, like I said, this is when it's in a smaller area, that's when I think Black Widows really shine. Let's do this little house with the Black Widows too, just so you can kind of see what a larger area might look like. I'm going to do this with some, I think I'm going to make this like a red. Okay. So I've got Fire, Bloodshot, and Evil Red. So these, I do have all of the sets of the Black Widows. So I've just combined them all into one giant case. But I really like having them all together like that. I know some people keep them like in their individual tins and everything, but I know that they all kind of work. I mean, they're all the same pencil. Makeup is not the right word. They're all made similarly, you know, like it's all the same formula. Geez, that's the word I was looking for. So I know that they're all going to work the same, and I want to be able to just make sure that that I have all those colors together and accessible all at the same time, so I don't have to search and search and search. I can just have them in color order and be done with it. Okay. So now I'm just bringing out Bloodshot color a little bit more. And this is, like I said, it's a light, these are light layers. This is not, I'm not pushing hard. But let me show you what happens when you do that, like if you're not pushing hard. So you can see, I don't know how well you can see, I'm gonna hold it up a little close. You can see quite a bit of the tooth of the paper coming through. Now, if that doesn't bother you, that's great. It does end up bothering me, which is why I tend to use marker bases so often. But another way to deal with that is to use a blender, or I also, a lot of the times, will use my, I'll use Gamsol, which is it's a odorless mineral spirit. So you can use that and a little blending stump or a brush and get that blended out too. It's a lot easier on your hands. But this Caran d'Ache colorless blender just works wonders on this Amazon paper. All right, so there is, so now it's all blended and it's all pretty good to go. All right, so I'm going to use that same color for the rest of the house. Okay, so the cute little house is done. Black Widows are not my favorite on this paper, but I can use them. I have not used Polychromos a lot, so let's try those out next. I think that I'm going to use some of the grays and stuff for this tower back here. I like the warm grays that Polys have, so let's grab a couple of those, maybe a little bit of brown. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is just do a nice light layer of the lightest gray all over everything. I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to make that all, it's all going to be stone. I was going to do that part with wood, but I think I'm just going to do the whole thing in stone. We'll have like little wood windowsills there maybe. Okay, so I know like on the bricks and stuff, I want a little bit of this color, so we'll just get a little bit going in some of these bricks. I don't want it in all of them, I don't think. Maybe a little bit of, you know what? I'm going to grab another brown. Let me grab this one. What is this one? This one is Nougat. Just going to add a little bit to some of these bricks. Grab a little bit of yellow. I'm also going to add a little bit of yellow to the center of the tower a little bit. Oop, we got some down here that I forgot. All right, so now I'm going to go a little bit darker. So I'm going to start with this dark sepia. And right at the edge of the tower, I'm going to bring in some of that color. And since this tower is circular, shading it this way is always a fun way to kind of let people know that, yes, this definitely is circular. And then last, go back through with the warm gray 3. The thing I like the best about the polys is you can definitely get lots of layers in there, especially when you work in light layers. You can get tons and tons of layers. So now I'm going to use this light gray to go over the tops of the bricks. I'm going to try to add in, I'm going to go right over the top of that yellow with this gray as well. Well, that's not exactly what I was hoping for, but I don't love that green gold. Okay, I'm going to try that again. So I'm going to do another layer with another dark color around the outside. So this is the dark sepia. I can also come in here and add in some shading with the around the bricks and stuff. That'll help kind of create a more 3D effect. So I'm bringing that dark sepia into the center a little bit, but I'm just like barely touching the page. Okay, I like that. We're going to use this, get these out of my hand. I always do that. I always hold all of my pencils in one hand. Okay, so I'm going to use this warm gray 6, and we're going to add in the shadows. So I'm going to go down the underneath. What did I do here? So this side. So underneath and to the left of the bricks. I'm going to do that underneath this little ledge as well. And then, yeah, under all the bricks. And if I want to add in a little bit more highlight, I can come in with my Posca pen and add in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to use my blender pencil here to try to blend some of this in the center. It looks pretty well blended already, to me at least. Okay, yeah, and I'm just going to do the rest of the tower in those same colors. And we'll come back and see what that looks like here in a sec. All right, I got that tower done. I do like the way the Polychromos works in here. Those are pretty nice. I mean, they're a great pencil anyway. But, okay, I'm going to use the same colors that we used earlier for the grass down at the bottom. I'm going to use that on these vines here. And then just double checking that I have enough of a shadow underneath this vine. Okay. All right, I like that. I think that looks pretty cute. So I like the way this is coming so far, coming together. I am going to, what else did I want to show you guys? I don't remember. So it's really just, you know, trying to play with pencils and see which ones you like. So far today we used Soucolor pencils, which are a very budget-friendly pencil. I believe, like I said before, they are interchangeable with Color pencils. I used some Arteza pencils. I used my Black Widow pencils, and I used my Polychromos pencils. And out of the 4 of those, I would say probably Arteza is my least favorite. And the, you know what, the Soucolor and the Polys are a tie for second. I love my Black Widows, and I love to use those on lots of different paper, but in this book specifically, I think maybe the other 2, the Polys and the Soucolor, take top spot. I want to do some more pencil work in this, but I am going to be using, I think, more markers. I don't want to do all of the tree work with pencils. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some water-based markers really quick, and we'll do some work on the tree. We're going to attempt something, and hopefully it works. And if it doesn't work, then that's, you know, it's okay. It's a page in a book. There are other pages in here. I have a Crayola Super Tip. So this is just a water-based marker, and this is a Zig Brushables marker. These ones have 2 brush tip ends with different colors. I've had these for forever, and they have lasted a really long time. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the darker color that I have, which is my Crayola here, and I'm just going to do a few little squiggly lines in some areas. Anywhere where I think my shadows might be, and then I'm going to just kind of extend outward from where shadows might be, kind of create some areas where there might be some pockets of shadow. So next, I'm going to take my next darkest, and we're going to scribble outwards from there. Now, this is not a technique that you would want to use on paper with an image on the opposite side, especially if it was Amazon paper, because this could have the capability of bleeding through. So now I'm using my lightest color. So I'm just gonna leave a few areas white as well, so that I can come in maybe with a yellow pencil or something like that to add in some more color variation. Typically in areas that would be the lightest. So yeah, so there you go. So that's just kind of going through and adding in some texture for these like big open areas of tree. So these all have some hand-drawn texture in, but the rest of these don't. So to kind of create that yourself, it's fun to use water-based markers to do that. Okay, what is next for me? So I think what I might do is go through and finish doing the rest of the tree with the markers. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. And then maybe when we come back, we can do... I'm trying to think what other supplies I really have. Like, I don't want to use any like water mediums, like my ink tints or anything like that on this paper. You can, but like I said previously, you really do want to have like a nice coat of gesso or some other kind of like satin glazing liquid or something like that on there so that it doesn't get completely buckled. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a background. Pencil backgrounds are always iffy on these. I have done it. Like I know, oh, well, I don't know if there's any in this. I don't know if I have any in this book where I've done a pencil background. Let's see, what do I have? Well, gosh darn it. So I just had like a fading effect. So this was all done. This was done with a alcohol marker base in some areas. I don't know if you can see the marker coming through there, and then pencil on top. I think I used some water-based markers as well. I love the way that this looks. I think it's such a cute little page. And then the background was just, I did color pencil close to the images and then kind of faded it off into white. So I guess, is that really the only one I've done in here? Huh. Well, I think maybe we'll kind of do something similar with this because there's not really like a defined border. So I'm just going to kind of have it be a little abstract. So, okay, I'm going to go off screen, do the markers, and I'll talk to you again when I come back. All right, went ahead and got the rest of the tree done up here. I like the way that this is looking. There's many different supplies on the one page. I still personally prefer like alcohol markers or water-based markers with my Prismas on top. But I would say definitely the Soucolor pencils and the Polychromos are as a second option on this Amazon paper. We might try one other Amazon paper. I think that I will maybe we'll do one in Dragon Dreams and see how that one does, or in that one, or let's try the Goddesses one, because I've already done like a cutesy one here. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this page. I am going to mark this so that I don't forget that I've started it. So we're going to set that aside for now, and then I've got a page picked out in the Goddesses book. So this is by Selena Fennick, and all of her books are the same way. They're printed the same way, so they're all printed single-sided. There are 2 images of each, or 2 of each image, and they are printed on Amazon paper. So this is not my most fun, for sure, but you can get some decent looks, especially with Black Widows on the skin tone. Probably the Polychromos as well. So let's do some with the Polychromos first, and we're gonna try a skin tone with the polys. I think she's gonna be, let's see, we're gonna have her be just a nice Caucasian skin tone. So I'm gonna grab my beige red and give that a start with that one. They don't have to have too much detail, thankfully, because it's such a small image. So I can just add in a little bit of shadow here and there. So when I do skin tones, I always try to do the shadows first, anywhere where there might be a shadow. I do that with a lighter color, and then I'll come back in with the darker color shadows too. We're going to do the burnt sienna is going to be my darker color, my darker shading color. So this is only going to go in the areas that are definitely in shadow here. And I'm using a very light touch. Again, when you are coloring on this Amazon paper, you don't want to push hard at all. So you can see I'm holding the pencil pretty far back so that I don't have the urge to push too hard. All right, and then I'm going to use the original color that I had previously used to blend outward from where I've added all of my shadow colors. And this doesn't like completely blend it, but it does a decent job. So especially, you know, given that these are pencils that are layering pencils anyway, you definitely have to layer with your polys. They are not smushy pencils. I'm going to grab the cream from my polys and do some highlighty areas. Okay, and then grab a pink. What is this one? This one is, this is Coral. Just gonna add in a little bit of blush here, my ladies. Okay, and then to finish that off, I'm gonna use my, what is this? This is Ivory, and I'm just gonna use that kind of like a blender. Now, does it look flawless? No. Does it look okay? Yes. I probably could, you know, spend hours coming back through and darkening things up and, you know, making sure that the shading is just perfect and, you know, all of these different things, but I am not in the mood for that today. So we're just gonna blend and kind of be done with it. I did want a couple of those shadows just to be a little darker. I think I'm gonna have to use like a purpley tone just to add a little bit of darker shadow in a couple of spots. I don't know if you guys can really tell a difference, but I do like the way that looks better. Okay, so next I'm going to use this same dark color, and I'm going to try to bring a little bit more definition to her eyes here. So yeah, so that's not bad. Like, you can see all the bits and pieces of it. It's, you know, not perfect. I don't know if you're even able to see that, sorry. Looked a little dark there. But you can see she's got some shading. She's pretty good in there. I like the way her little skin tone turned out. Let's do some hair. Why not? I'm not going to use my polys though for this one. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go try to do Black Widows. Although I do love polys for hair because they are a firmer pencil and they hold their point much longer than normal. So that's always a helpful pencil to use when you're doing hair. You want ones that can hold their point longer so that you don't have to keep sharpening over and over and over. All right, what color? So she is Anthea. She is the goddess of flowers and wreaths. Normally she's shown in golden tones. Okay, well, that's good. Let's just do her some golden hair. And again, since it's Black Widows, I'm going to start with a very light layer of my lightest color. Okay, so I'm going to do, we're just going to get some hair streaks going here. I am trying to be mindful to do a little bit of a flicking motion so that I have the, like the strands. You can see like individual strands when you go to look at it. Okay, we got that color. Let's do this gold color. That is real gold. That is super goldy. All right, well, that's what the hair is going to look like. That's pretty. That's another reason I don't like to do hair very often though, is because just that little bit took that long, and now I'm gonna have to do all the rest of it in that color. But I think it'll be a decent, maybe I want a little bit more reddish brown on top of that. Yeah, that looks better. The dungeon just wasn't quite right, so I'm gonna add this castle color on top of it. Yeah, that does look pretty gold. So then like her dress would be, you know, all in gold, golden tones. Maybe her dress could be cream. She'd have little gold detail along the edges and like the little, yeah, those things, straps, holy moly, could be in gold. Yeah. So, I mean, you can kind of see how you can still do what you want to do. Like, you can still make it look pretty. It's just not going to be quick or easy. Like, it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of thought when you're wanting to color with the Amazon paper. But I do feel like some of these pencils definitely can make it easier. All right, so you guys can see, so that's just one level here, or one layer, not one level, one layer. I do probably need to make it a little bit darker though, where things overlap even. So let's try this one. Amazon paper, you do have kind of a limit on the amount of layers that you can add, however. All right, I'm going to take a second and finish off this hair, and then kind of show you what that looks like when we come back, and then I'll probably end up doing the rest of this with like markers and stuff, because I don't have the patience. Or maybe some of these flowers might need a little bit of flicking motions. We'll see. I will talk to you again here in a second. All right, so here is her hair and her skin all done. She looks really pretty. It's, you know, it's such a small image, you can't really get a lot of detail in there, but I think she's going to be super pretty, especially if I do like a cream color dress and then have pretty flowers around her. So there's that. So we did that with Polychromos and Black Widow and no markers anywhere. And then this one is the other one that we worked on today. And that one was lots of pencil, some with water-based marker, some without. So these are the Arteza ones that didn't have it. And I mean, it still worked fine, the Artezas, but they hurt my hand a little bit more than the other ones did. And like I said, the Polychromos and the Soucolor are actually my favorite ones to use. Although I do really enjoy the Black Widows as well. But yeah, so that is it for today. So I think I hope that this helps some people with, you know, dealing with the Amazon print paper. If you have other mediums that you would like me to try, other pencils that you would like me to try out on this paper, let me know in the comments below, or shoot me an email, send me a message on Instagram. Any of those will work. And yeah, and then I'll see what I can do about making, you know, different content about working on this paper, because I know it's a little bit tricky for some people, and you know, other people just don't want to mess with it at all, and that's totally fine. But for those of us who like to have everything in our books, this is my solution to that. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.